earlier because we're locating witnesses that were in the cell. We've located them all now, but they're not interviewed yet.
Are you muted?
The investigator thinks he can get it done within 2 weeks. I'm not so optimistic, so I don't want to tell you that I'm ready. So I just want to let you know.
We're not having this trial. There's been an 844 days. We passed it. Is that okay, Brian?
It's on me, Ron.
Can you tell where that's coming from? Because everybody's muted.
You're okay with that?
I'm not muted.
Hello? Maybe it was,
I think it came from Mr. Park's office.
maybe so.
I got 2 or 3 meetings going on. I've got another hearing in Waco,
Oh, okay.
and I'm trying to juggle everybody, and that's still going on. But they told me you all can I spend I don't know 15, 20 minutes to get finished with that one?
Yeah.
My client's in here with me.
Okay.
Yours is set at 9:30. The other one set at 9.
Okay. Go ahead and finish that one.
Okay, thank you. I'm ready to go, y'all.
Yeah, I'm like, can I get this thing working?
All right. Well, thank you for trying, Coach. I gotta go sit down for that.
Okay. I really understand how all this goes.
All right.
Oh, Mr. Polk, you're on the Setsko case. Just your name didn't make it on the docket, but I see you filed an answer, so.
Judge, can we hold on just 1 second?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Candace Heiss.
Okay, sorry, I'm ready.
that's okay. Before we go on the record, Mr. Polk, you represent Walter Setsko. You're on mute.
I'm sorry. Mr. Sesko is next to me right here.
Oh, okay, okay.
Let him show his face. No, get there and show your face.
No, that's fine, as long as, okay. All right. And Miss, okay, we'll go on the record and cause number D21-29749-CV, Donald Setsko versus Walter Setsko. I have the applicant present and respondent present in the courtroom. Counsel for both sides are present as well. And I guess at this time, I'll take opening statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This case, Your Honor, was triggered by an incident occurred in February 25th this year when the respondent got arrested under a charge of assault causing a bodily injury on a family member. To be more specific, his oldest child, Ryan Robertson. Okay. Then there was an emergency protective order issued right the day after, with a duration of 90 days, and that has gone all through the end of May, and now we are dealing with kind of like the continuation of that protective order by filing this brand new protective order according to the family code. However, this case, it does not only hinge on that incident alone, but it hinges on a sequence of physical abuse and other kind of psychological abuse have been occurring prior to that occasion, prior to that date, not only here in Texas, but also in the state of Hawaii, where this family comes from. And that physical abuse and that psychological abuse has been inflicted on 4 of the children that are in the household. Ryan, age 16, Lillian, age 13, Caitlin, age 9, and Donald Jr., age 7. So the respondent decided to move from Hawaii to Texas, to Corsicana, with his 4 children in early February, to live and to set the residence at his father's house, the applicant Donald Setsko. So they decided to come over here to start like a new life after a bunch of years in Hawaii. And the mom of the kids stayed in Hawaii. She doesn't have any custody rights over the children. And she actually seems to have surrendered those rights through a divorce decree issued 2 years ago in Hawaii. So the respondent will be the only parent holding the custody rights. So I have submitted as an exhibit number 8 just an informative chart. It's not offered as an evidence, just an informative chart on how the family situation is right now. Okay, just as an informative kind of like sheet that the owner can take a look at if he considers so. So we will prove by preponderance of evidence that the respondent has abused his children not only through physical abuse, but also through psychological abuse, through threats, through aggressive conduct like mocking, belittling, yelling, calling names. Every time, every day, when he would get back to work from work, he would get drunk and he would start behaving in that abusive way. Okay, so he has been creating an environment of violence in that household. Okay, so it's not only about the incident on the 25th of February, but also some other incidents prior to that. The children now that the respondent has been away for a few months under the emergency protective order, they have been doing great. They've been doing very good at school. They are happy living with their grandpa, and it's very noticeable, as we will prove, that they have now been released of a heavy weight that was on their shoulders. That manifested in that abusive conduct by the respondent on a daily basis. Okay, so basically, we'll prove the 2 prongs of the family code that the family code requires for a protective order to be granted. The family violence, in all its broad definition, has existed, and also that there is a likelihood that that family violence will occur again in the future. I have no further statements at this point in time.
Okay. Mr. Polk, do you have an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. Yeah, I think that this is a case in which the incident in February 25th, 2021 was triggered by his daughter smoking pot in the house with I guess would be her uncle. Is that right? Her uncle, who's living with my client's father, who is the applicant in this case. There's a problem with this when he found he smoked apparently the what's the stepson name? Joe. Apparently Joe, who is the kid that's who's the uncle. He smokes pot, drinks beer, whatever he wants to do in the house anytime he wants to do. My client, Walter Setsko, does not allow that. I mean, he may drink beer, but he does not allow his kids to be drinking beer, or for that matter, even smoking pot. His father doesn't have a problem with it as long as they keep their grades up. This is one of the issues here. So my client, Walter, went berserk, and I'm gonna say he went berserk, telling him that, you're not gonna be smoking pot here, whatever. And I think that she has some rings in her lips, those rings they have in the lips. He allowed her to have that. He told her, you're gonna take it out. He told her, you're taking the ring out. If you want to act like this, I don't know what was said, something about if you want to act like this, you can go to maybe you can go to Mexico somewhere, and if that's where you want to smoke pot or something like that. She gets up and she's gonna leave, and he said, no, you're not going anywhere. you're gonna after he took the rings out. I mean, there was some blood when he took those rings out, but it didn't hurt anything. It was just when you took the rings out, there was just a little blood. They got pictures of some blood from that, but it wasn't from him hitting her or anything like that. It was from them taking the rings out of her lips. And his father comes in and in the middle of this wants to stop it. And he's telling his father, you stay out of this. Sit down and stay out of this. And this is what started the whole thing. I want to point out that he is a parent. And as a parent, he is allowed to use corporal punishment. 2 people under the code are allowed to use corporal punishment, a parent or a grandparent, for sure. And he's trying to exercise his best, to the best of his ability, to avoid having his kids wind up like their mama, who is a drug addict. And that's why she doesn't have custody of the kids. I will tell you this much about Walter. Walter had some problems in the past. He went to prison. And when he got out of prison, within a week of him getting out of prison, the wife that he was married to, CPS was taking the kids away. And at that point, he stepped in and said, I will take them. And he worked, for 3 years, he worked 70 hours a week, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, taking care of, how many kids was it?
5 at first and then 4.
5, then 4. 5 kids, only 2 of them were here. And they were all his wife's kids from a prior relationship, but he took care of all of them. And it was his father who called and told him that he was having some medical issues and medical problems and needed some help. And Walter agreed to come down to help him with his problems. That's how he wound up down here in Texas. What we're saying, Your Honor, is yes, there may have been instances in which he's threatened them, because when he comes in from work, if the house is in a mess, they haven't put up their stuff, they haven't done the things they need to do, he's chewing them out. Y'all need to pick up this, you need to do like any parent would do. You just to say that there was some verbal language that was abusive, that they consider to be abusive, is not enough for family violence for a parent. You got to come up and do better than that. You got to show some severe injuries to these kids, which they don't have. You got to show that they were severe. I mean, if he used corporal punishment, there was some severe injuries, not just a slight discoloration. Severe injuries need to be shown. None of this is none. They have none of this from this parent. He's turned his life around, and he's up until for 3 years he's been soldiering, taking care of these kids, working 7 days a week because it's expensive in Hawaii, and he's the sole provider for all these kids. And like I said, 3 of them not even his. And so what we're saying is, stepfather here wants to, grandfather here wants to take over. And his my client does not agree with his lackadaisical attitude about the drugs, about allowing the kids to smoke pot or drink, as long as their grades are good. That's not, they got to do better than that for Walter. And that's one of the digs that they got. So we're asking the court to set aside or vacate, deny this motion for a protective order. There's not one needed. And secondly, he needs to get his kids out of that house as soon as possible. There's a real danger. There's clearly a real danger that they're going to develop attitudes that will lead to problems later on in life that will involve more than just making good grades. And that's
I have to object to that petition there, because that is not an object of this hearing, whether he can be out or not out of the house. This is just to determine whether there is a protective order that has merits to be in place or not.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'll sustain. Okay. Anything further on opening?
Yeah, no, Your Honor.
You may call your first witness.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm gonna call to the stand, Candace Heisenman.
Okay,
She's a CPS investigator that was intervening in this case right the day after
Okay.
the episode of the 25th of
okay. Ms. Heiserman, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may proceed.
Good morning, Miss Heiserman. How are you doing this morning?
Good, thank you.
All right. So real quick, I wanna just tell the court what your qualifications and your professional activity is.
I'm an investigator with the Department of Family and Protective Services, and I've been in this position for approximately 10 years. And prior to that, I've worked in similar settings or with children.
All right. So during the 10 years that you've been working for CPS, have you been conducting investigation all the time or most of the time?
Yes, strictly investigations.
Okay. My understanding is that as a consequence of the incident reported to the police on February the 25th, you initiated an investigation. Can you just tell the court what the steps were that you took for that investigation?
Sure. Once I received the report, I believe it was on or about February the 26th of 2021, I contacted law enforcement and checked the inmate database to determine whether or not Mr. Setsko was still incarcerated, but also attempted to make initial contact with the children at school. Lillian was present. The other three were not, or other four, including Joe, were not present at school. Had some conversations with law enforcement as to their circumstances and any restrictions that were in place regarding Mr. Setsko and his contact with the children at that time. I made contact with Donald Setsko and I visited the home. I saw the children, observed the environment. I also went to Mr. Donald Setsko's ex-wife's home, Kitty Setsko, talked to her, verified the circumstances, her belief that Mr. Donald Setsko was fit and able to care for the children, gathered just some other basic information, talked to the Justice of the Peace, Ms. Connie Hickman, and also did just some preliminary task of documentation and running background checks.
All right. So did you interview Ryan Robertson and Lillian Robertson, who are the two oldest children?
Yes, I did. Initially, I did an informal interview with them in the anticipation of forensic interviews. However, it was decided that those would be not done at this point, but so I did formally interview them after that initial contact.
All right. And did the children make an outcry?
Yes, they all did.
We're going to object to hearsay.
Well, that didn't call for hearsay, just said, do they make an outcry? So all over the rule.
Yeah, it's a direct, I'm asking for a direct knowledge of the person, of the witness here. So, and what was the nature of the outcry?
They confirmed and verified that they had been, Walter Setsko's children confirmed and verified that they had been subjected to physical abuse with the recent incident, but also ongoing physical and emotional abuse by Mr. Walter Setsko, as well as some neglectful supervision. And then when I spoke to Joe Setsko, he also confirmed the incident and the abuse that had occurred towards him by Mr. Walter Setsko at the time of this incident.
Right. So the children, when they made that outcry, they identified the perpetrator as Walter. As Walter Setsko, is that right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so would the children relate to you that the abuse have been occurring regularly over the previous months or even years?
Yeah, we're going to object to this being hearsay, the nature of it, describing it as abuse. Whether it's
I'll sustain.
All right. Okay. Well, according to your vast experience as a CPS investigator, would it be fair to say that the children delivered a consistent and credible narrative on the specific instance of abuse?
Objection, we're going to object on this because there's no rational basis for her to form.
I have to contest that objection, Your Honor, based on the fact that I'm asking for a professional opinion. I'm asking for a perception or that Ms. Heiserman got conducting those investigations. I'm not asking her for what happened in those abuse instances. I'm asking her on how her perception of the veracity, the consistency of the testimonies that she got in those interviews was. So I'm just asking for a direct knowledge.
Can I have Bordard as witness on this issue?
Yes.
Ms. Heiserman, did you conduct any tests to determine whether any objective testing to determine whether these kids were telling the truth on some kind of scale or anything?
What are you referring to? What kind of scale?
Well, they have psychological scales where say, the likelihood that this person is telling the truth. Did you conduct any type of psychological testing?
I'm not qualified to conduct a psychological test, but in my experience.
I didn't ask you, objection, non-responsive. I just asked you a question. Now, and do you know anything about these kids personally?
Personally speaking, in what terms specifically? I mean, I know the information I've gathered in the.
Well, if you know someone personally, you observe them in different settings, so you know who they are because you observed them in different settings. Have you had an opportunity to do that?
Yes, sir, I have.
Where? When and where?
School, home.
You observed them in school or just during your interview?
The observation was the interview at school.
Okay, so that's the only contact you've had with them is your interview with them, and you were there to ask them if they had any. Let me ask you something. Did you ask them whether any of this was done as corporal punishment or being punished for it in violation of any rules of the house, anything? When he
I have to object there. I have to object there because that is a leading question. Let's put it that way, because he's assuming that the content of that conversation of that interview was addressed exclusively to corporal punishment. And so, is this my questioning or is his questioning? Because I don't see the point why he's making inquiries about the content of the interviews, because that was my questioning. I mean,
the reason why I'm asking that question is because children are very impressionable, and if they got it, and I see this all the time, they got an interviewer there that's focused on one thing. They figure out what they're listening, what they want to hear, and they give that. And I just want to know if this was a fair, objective interview that you gave to these kids.
I wonder who is the expert here.
Beg pardon?
Okay.
I wonder who is the expert here.
I kind of got lost on what the applicant was asking this witness about the children's veracity. Is that I had a hard time understanding.
The veracity, okay, because the veracity is like, but the credibility and the consistency of the narrative that they delivered, okay, it's like something instrumental. It's not something addressed to dispel some kind of like knowledge of what happened in the different instances that we will deal with later. It's just something that deals with the instrumental side of it. It's like, hey, according to your experience, has this kid delivered a consistent narrative in all the questions and all the interviews and in all the settings, or is just according to your experience that he, the kid snapped like with something different in respect to other, questioning that occur in some other settings? It's like in the entire investigation, do you think that this kid was consistent in the narrative. I'm not talking about the veracity of the facts that the kid
Okay. So you're asking if the child was consistent throughout her interviews or interviewing?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's not what he originally asked, but if that's his question, if he changes it to ask his question, then I'll answer.
See, I heard kind of both, but if that's, you may answer that question.
Yes, the children were consistent and believed to be reliable witnesses upon each of my interviews and interactions with them.
All right. All right. Did you perceive in those interviews that the kids were kind of fearful about the situation they were going through? I mean, this is a direct knowledge kind of question. It's like, did you perceive that the kids that you interviewed were generally in a fearful state of mind?
I perceived that, and they also communicated that to me.
Okay, so they directly conferred with you about their fears and their apprehensions and their thoughts, right?
Yes, all 5 children.
Okay. So later in the investigation, when you followed up, I believe that you followed up after a few days, a few weeks. During that time, the respondent has been away from the household because he was under an emergency detention, an emergency protective order. So when you followed up with the kids, did you notice that they were like more calm, more settled?
Objection, leading.
It's not misleading, it's just another question about her perception as a professional.
No, it's leading question, suggestion answer.
But I understand what the objection is, but I can't understand state the question over again.
All right. So when you followed up with the kids after a few days, a few weeks, during a period of time where the respondent was not in the household, did you notice the kids like more calm, more settled, kind of like happier because, the new situation without the respondent around?
Objection, Your Honor. Again, she's not qualified to answer that question because she don't know what they were like before. She's asking were they more calm, more settled, an improper question. She has no knowledge. She has no knowledge to
she has a previous knowledge. The beginning of the investigation, she found fearful kids relaying to her a bunch of stuff. And then after a few days, a couple of weeks, when she followed up and the respondent was no longer around, I'm asking her if she noticed them more calm, more relaxed, more kind of like freed from being, from that relationship with the respondent. If they were more settled because their dad was not around. That is just a question of, I'm just asking her to relay to us her perception about how the kids were doing after a couple of weeks without the respondent in the household.
Again, objection on this. She's not qualified to make that kind of opinion. She has no basis. She has no basis to make that opinion.
If she's comparing to the time that she met them and interviewed them to the time period after, if that's what the question calls for,
That's basically.
Are you asking for her to make a comparison between the first time and then the subsequent time?
Yes.
All right. That's not what he asked, but okay.
Okay.
Well, it is exactly what I asked. Did you notice the kids did you notice any change in the kids' mood? Were they more settled? Were they more relaxed, more calm in respect to the first time when you first interviewed them, like one day after the respondent got arrested?
You can respond to that question.
Sure. From the time that I made initial contact with those children on February the 26th, 2021, until my last contact with them, which would have been last Friday, there was marked improvement and a sense of settlement and adjustment in a positive way to their environment, but also to the care of their grandfather.
All right. At this point, I would like to offer as evidence the exhibits, the state exhibits 3 to 7. I can share those documents, but they are basically the school cards of each of the 5 children that were pulled out from the system, from the school, and show the grades and the improvement, and like what the school cards show, right? The grades, the tardy rates, and all that, and it can be shown that they are doing good. They've been doing good without the respondent around.
Okay.
They are just let's bear in mind that these kids have moved from Hawaii to Texas in a carrying, dragging, and
Your Honor, this is he's making arguments here and not asking questions.
okay, I'll take it back. I'm just going to show the documents.
Okay. So my understanding is you're going to,
I'm offering exhibits 3 to 7.
okay. Does Mr. Pope, do you want to put them on the screen? And I'm not going to look at them until I've heard any objections or made a ruling on, and this is 3 through 7.
Yeah, could I see them?
Yes, I will pull it up here and show it on the screen if I manage to do it right, because I'm not very skillful IT person. All right, so share screen. All right. Can you see this?
I see something saying exhibits, but I don't see the actual exhibit. No.
No? Okay, I'm sorry. Let me see. But it says you are sharing the screen.
I just told you I can only see what I can see. What I see is it says Donald Sesco Exhibit 3 school card, Donald Sesco Exhibit 4 school card.
All right. Well, I'm showing this. I'm showing the document.
I do not see the cards. What I'm complaining about.
I think you may need to click on the actual document, and it should pop up.
Okay. Let me see.
You want me to click on it?
If you could.
It's nothing. I clicked on it.
I don't think that you can click on his screen.
No, I don't think. Thank you, sir.
Let me take a 5-minute recess. I need to run to my office to get one thing. And maybe while they're doing that, y'all can click on the.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out.
I'm going to leave the screen on, but I'm not going to look at it.
I have smart kids. They were doing.
It's fine, it's fine. Thank you so much. Casey, can you help me? Just real quick. I'm in an emergency right here. So can you just get me back to the main screen, because I don't have the tab secure to, and I need to share the screen. They are in that recess. Or maybe stop share. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, okay. New share. Stop share. Okay. All right. So now here, full screen. And now share screen. This is what I have to do. I want to show these documents here. Okay. So I just go like. It says you are screen sharing. I don't know. They say that they don't see this document.
Yes, I'm on.
Okay.
Are y'all still on it?
Yeah. It's gonna be long.
Oh, my Lord. Need your help.
James,
What do you mean?
Can you hear me?
can you see the document now?
Are you
No.
back?
You know what?
If you're not back.
What are you trying to show that they have good grades?
Yes.
Okay, I will, I've seen your cards before, because you sent them to me before, but I don't see them now.
Well, but if you
But we will concede that they have good grades.
okay, so you're never.
I'm not gonna argue with the fact that they're making good grades.
All right. So why don't you just say that you are okay with that? Thank you.
I'm okay. I'm okay with the issue that
With offering and the cards being admitted.
I don't want to admit anything until I see it, but I will concede.
Well, I thought you said that you saw them.
I saw some exhibits before yesterday. That's what I mean. But I'm not going to agree to something I haven't seen going into evidence. That just doesn't make sense. I just saw something that was up there.
Okay, you see this?
No, that's not. It was flashed up there and then went away. I don't know what you did, but I did. Something was shown on the screen, a picture, and then it was there for about a second and then went away.
Let me see.
It was a chart. It tell you exactly what it was. It was a chart.
Yeah, well, that is something that I also offered, not as an evidence, but just as an informative chart. So, what about this?
Nothing. I see nothing.
You need to double click on the item.
On the PDF document?
Yeah, he's trying to tell you.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
Double click.
Nothing.
We got the blind leading the blind here.
That's not. Hold on.
Can I send it to you through email and you take a look at it?
Okay, yeah, send the email over to me.
Okay.
And I'll have Lolita print it out.
Okay.
And I'll take a look at it. Lolita? Have you emailed it over yet?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna have my secretary print it out, whatever you email over. Hold on. Oh, there it is. I see it now.
Okay. Okay, good.
That says State Exhibit 4, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
It says Mildred High School. Yeah, I see that one. Is this State Exhibit 4?
Yes. Yes, this is Exhibit 4. And that is the school card for Lillian Robertson.
Oh, let me see who's on here. Student. Oh, Lillian Robinson. That's right.
Yeah. And it's been pulled up from the portal, from the parent portal.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I see that one. We have no objection to State Exhibit 4, Lillian Robinson school card, report card.
Okay. Now Exhibit 3.
Hold on. I need to get a copy of this.
The grades were going down.
Well,
Okay.
I've sent you an email with all of the cards.
Okay, that's Exhibit 4. Go ahead. Let me see State Exhibit. Which one?
Can you see number 3 on the screen?
Oh. Hold on. Okay, I got exhibits here now.
Okay.
Okay, let me see. This is Exhibit 1, which is offense report, incident report. Incident report. Incident report. Okay. Incident report. Okay, now I got Exhibit 2. State Exhibit 2 is the Magistrate Emergency Protective Order. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then I see looks like Exhibit 3. Exhibit 3 is
School card
Ryan Robertson.
for Ryan, correct?
State Exhibit, let me write it down, Exhibit 3, Ryan Robertson.
Every single one of those grades are going. The only changes are down. There's no improvement.
Okay, great.
The first quarter to the second to the third.
Okay,
Some
I
of them
got you.
stayed the same, the rest got worse.
Yeah.
What's he trying to
All right.
improve?
Hold on.
Did y'all, were y'all able to look at everything?
So, Your Honor, Mr. Porterhouse managed to examine the documents because I sent them through email.
Okay.
I have no objections to State Exhibits 3, which is
The record?
Yeah, let's go back up. We'll come out of recess. Thank you, Leslie. Okay, and so you have no objection to,
Yes, Your Honor. I was stating I have no objections to State Exhibits 3, which is a report card for Ryan Robertson. No objection to State Exhibit 4, which is a report card for Lillian Robinson. I have no objection to State Exhibits 5, which is a report card for, I'll take it back, 6, which is the report card of Caitlin Setsko. And Exhibit 5, is that Joe Setsko? Joe Setsko, who is the uncle. that we were talking about smoking pot there. And what, did I miss anything that you intend to offer at this time?
Yeah, the exhibit number 7.
Exhibit number 7. I don't think,
It's another school card for Donald Jr. So they are all the school cards for the 5 children living in the house.
I don't have say exhibit 7. Well, which one is the report card for whom? Who's the report card for?
It's for Donald Frederick Setsko. The youngest.
I don't see that one. I don't see that one.
Well, it's in my email. So
Take it back. That's the one. There is one. That's for
Okay.
Donald.
Yes.
Donald
Frederick.
Donald Setsko. Yes, I have that. No objection.
Okay, so just so the record's clear, there's no objection to exhibits 3 through 7. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, they're admitted.
All right. So I'm going to continue to examine the witness just a little bit more.
Okay. You may
all
want
right.
to turn your screen share off so I can see her a little bit better. Thank you.
All right, I'm sorry. So, so Ms. Heiserman, getting back to your qualifications, I just want to be clear. Do you have any specific training on conducting interviews with children? You have to mute.
I apologize. Yes, I was previously trained and employed as a forensic interviewer for the Advocacy Center here in Navarre County, as well as a victim assistance coordinator with the district attorney's office, and then additional prior experience as well.
All right, okay. So in your investigation, did you also have interaction, or did you also interview Donald Setsko, the applicant here?
Yes.
All right. And so could you check on how the applicant will be dealing with taking care of the kids in that household? Do you do any on-site investigation? Did you conduct any in-person kind of like eye examination of the house? How did it all play out?
I observed, of course, during the course of my investigation, observed the home, did my own investigation, but not only that, we went so far as to request a formal kinship home assessment of Mr. Donald Setsko that's conducted through a contractor with the department who doesn't know me, doesn't know the parties, but does an independent objective assessment of the home environment, the members of the home, but also goes into quite a bit of detail and depth in doing background checks and also contacting references for the caregiver that is being assessed.
All right.
Yeah, objection. We started this off, and I think counsel here for the state said that possession, where the kids go, possession, that wasn't a part of this case, and argued that that I could, in my opening statements, I shouldn't be discussing any of that. But here he is introducing evidence and focusing his whole attention at this point on the assessment for the home environment in this case. So I'm just gonna argue that that's
well,
inconsistent and by his own admissions, not relevant.
Well, it's relevant not because it takes part of the petition itself or the prayer or what we are asking for. It's important because it's part of the CPS investigation, and it is the way it is. I cannot change it. So I just wanna let Ms. Heiserman speak through all the steps that she took in the investigation. So it may be it's not that we are asking anything about, who is the main or primary caregiver or whatever. That is not what this hearing is about. That's for sure. But I'm just saying that in order to have a broad the entire picture of the investigation, I just want to finish it off with that part, which is like, hey, checking on the grandfather who among other reasons is the owner of the residence and is the one that allowed his son to bring his family in. So I think it's relevant.
Okay, I know that we're in a protective order hearing, so I'll sustain the objection. Let's get onto the issues that are before the court. I will ask, are there any other cases pending with these children, family law cases in this court or another court?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, all right,
No, there are not.
let's proceed.
All right. So you also interviewed the respondent, Walter Setsko, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Did you learn about his criminal history directly from him?
We discussed it, but not in detail, because at the time that I talked to him, I was not aware of the full extent of the criminal history. But through the course of my investigation, I became aware of the fact that he had criminal history in several other states.
Okay. Did he in any of the conversations that you held with him, did he admit having anger management problems?
Yes.
Okay. Did he admit having beaten up his wife and being convicted of it?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, I don't have further questions, Your Honor, to this witness.
Okay. Mr. Pope, do you have any questions of this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Heiserman,
Uh-huh.
you said that Walter admitted to you that he beat up his wife?
Yes, in our verbal conversation, but also through email, that he had acknowledged.
You got an email from him saying I beat up my wife.
In those very words.
My question is very simple. Do you have an email from him saying I beat up my wife?
And I can refer to the email. I can tell you the exact words if you would like.
That's what I would like to see. Or here.
Okay. Will you give me 1 second to pull it from the file?
Sure.
I have that email ready to offer as well. So.
That email may not be printed with the external documents of my file. It's still available to me, but I would have to go log into my system.
I don't want to waste any more time on it.
Well, it's gonna come up anyway, Mr. Polk. So it's not a waste of time. I mean that email is gonna come up.
Objection.
Well, it wasn't me the one asking for that email to begin with.
Well, she said she didn't have it available, and I don't want to spend any more.
Well, I have it available. Ms. Heiserman, is that the one that I got here?
I don't. Do I have?
Yes, it appears so.
All right. I can offer it as an exhibit number 9.
Okay. If I can get a copy of that.
And I'm going to right away. I'm going to scan it and send it over to you, Mr. Polk, and you can just go through it and read it if you want, and also the court. And I'll try to share that document on the screen too. Okay, so it's sent to you, Mr. Polk. So I'm just gonna try to,
Hold on for a minute. Let me have.
are you seeing the document on the screen?
I do see it on the screen.
Okay. So maybe Ms. Heiserman can help us walk through the email and try to locate.
I'm trying to scroll. Yeah, you guys scroll down for me.
Okay.
Okay, that's who's this is
All right.
hold on.
Here, Ms. Candace is from Walter Setko to Candace Heiserman, okay? And the subject is Lillian, Ryan, Caitlin, and Donna, the children. So dear Miss Candace, and here it goes.
Okay. All right, I see it. Let me, could I review this, dear Miss Candace?
Okay, I send it to you right now, so you can just print it out and read it, take your time. I can't see any specific words of having admitted that, but it relays his past of violence.
No, wait a minute. Let's back up. This lady just got to testify. He emailed her stating, I beat up my wife. So I'm looking for that. I don't, you're right. I don't see it.
Well, she may not be able to produce it.
My reference was to my oral interview with him and the email.
Well, I don't see it on, you said it was in the email and I'm looking for it on the email. So if you're going to be credible, let's go be credible. Where is it in the email?
If I misrepresented to you or you misunderstood what I was attempting to communicate to you, is that my conversations and collection of conversations or email indicated, and Mr. Setsko admitted to me.
Hold on, back up. Objection, Your Honor.
What's your objection?
We're asking for her to produce the email that he said, I beat up my wife.
Okay.
That was the testimony.
Your Honor,
I can't. Let's make it clear.
She doesn't have it. She doesn't have it. I mean, so let's move on. Okay. That it doesn't mean that email doesn't exist. It's just that she's unable to produce it.
Okay.
All right, but it doesn't mean that she's lying.
Okay, let's move on with the questioning.
Okay.
Now, during your investigations, did you find that there were any hospital records for injuries to these kids from any abuse that my client produced on, Walter produced on them?
No, I had no hospital records of abuse.
Do you have any police records of abuse to these kids from Hawaii or anywhere else that Walter Setsko has physically assaulted and abused these kids?
All I have are the court records that show.
That's not my question. My question, do you have any police records?
No, sir.
Thank you.
That objection, that's irrelevant. Police records are just hearsay, so I don't know why he's throwing questions about police records.
Well, he can answer the questions, she has them, but after that, it would be hearsay, so. I'll overrule the objection and we move on to the next issue.
Do you have any witnesses that observed outside of these kids that observed people who have been around to observe any abuse to these kids?
Yes.
Who?
Kitty Setsko, Janelle Setsko, Joe Setsko, Donald Setsko.
Well, I said outside of these kids.
It's just, that's one home.
I wasn't referring to the children.
Who is Joe Sesko?
The uncle.
And he's the one that's smoking pot in the house. Okay. And
Your Honor, objection, Your Honor. That's a conclusion. That's argumentative. I mean, that comment shown by Mr. Fox.
I'll sustain it. It was testimony. Let's move on.
Did you when you went to the house, did you observe whether there were any beer bottles in Joe Sesko's room?
No.
Well, okay. So, but you don't have anybody from Hawaii who confirms that there was any abuse going on in the house, but from these kids. Anybody?
Yes, Chelsea.
Who? Joe Sesko?
Chelsea Setsko.
The homeless drug addict.
Oh, the ex-wife.
Yes, I met with her in person when she was here.
Okay. And did she appear to be sober?
Yes.
Good. Did she explain to you why she does not have custody of the kids?
Yes. She related it was due to Walter's abuse.
Okay, she related that she doesn't have custody because of Walter's abuse to her.
Yes, manipulation.
Manipulative abuse of her. Okay. And you found that to be credible?
I took the information that she gave me and assessed it.
That's my question. Did you find that to be credible?
In what terms? To call her a liar or not liar? It's the information that she provided.
I object, Your Honor. He's doing exactly the same thing that he held against me in the first time I questioned the witness. He is asking about credibility. I was asking about consistency in the narrative, which is kind of different. So, I mean, she is relaying what the content and how her encounters with this person was, and that's it. The respondent's attorney needs to focus on what is the purpose of the questioning of Ms. Heisenberg, which is something purely instrumental.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm asking, she's already given testimony about how credible all the witnesses were that she interviewed. Using that same criteria, I'm asking, did she find this story and of the ex-wife to be credible about why she didn't have her kids? That's all. She can say, I didn't think it was credible. I didn't have an opinion. One of those three.
Okay. I'm not real sure. Mr. Pope, what was your initial question that led to the objection from the?
Okay, the initial question was, she had testified that, what's the wife's name? Josie Setsko told her that the reason she didn't have custody of her kids was because of abuse by Walter Setsko on her. That's why she lost her kids. He abused her. And I asked her, did she find that story to be credible? That's what I asked. And then we got all the objections. Okay. No, she refused to answer the question.
No, she didn't refuse to answer a question. She answered that she's not there to give credibility to the people. She was limited to kind of like gather the information and put it all together with the other pieces of the investigation.
If it's helpful, just re-answer the question in a more concise way.
I'll sustain the objection. Let's move on.
I really have no further questions of this witness.
Okay. Any other questions of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. You may call your next witness. Is she free to, is Ms. Hagerman free to go?
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Okay. You may call your next witness.
all right. Well, thank you, Ms. Hatcherman. She has a procedure now. She has to run to. So I'm calling to the stand. The next witness is going to be Ryan Robertson, the oldest children, aged 16.
Okay. All right. If you could raise your right hand and unmute yourself. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And state your name again for the record.
Ryan Robertson.
Robertson.
Yes.
Okay. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ryan. How are you? Well, you know that Ms. Heiserman from the CPS conducted an investigation as a result of the respondent's arrest on February the 25th. Were you interviewed by Ms. Heiserman?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
All right, and what was that interview about?
It was about what living with Walter was like and about the night of his arrest.
All right, okay. So did you explain to her like thoroughly what happened that night on February 25th?
After dinner, I was cleaning up and I asked Walter.
Ryan, my question is that did you tell her what happened?
Yes.
Like thoroughly? Okay. And so my next question is, were you assaulted by Walter Setsko that night?
Yes.
So can you tell the court how the assault took place? How did all start?
I was cleaning up after dinner and I asked him where something belonged. I asked him where a tub belonged. He was in the living room watching the news, drinking from a bottle of wine. And he started snapping at me. He started calling me a liberal and he smacked the tub out of my hand and he said, "Get out of my face." So I went upstairs to my room and I started making my bed and he followed me upstairs and he started asking me political questions like, who was I supporting? Did I hate America? And as he asked me those questions, he would push me onto my bed and he would backhand me.
How many times? How many times did he backhand you?
Several.
Several times?
More than.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Several times.
Several times? All right. Was it like hard backhand?
Yeah. And yes.
So what kind of names would he call you? You can be explicit.
He would call me a liberal bitch, and he was telling my siblings that I was a disgrace to the family, that I betrayed them.
Okay.
For being a liberal.
And what else happened there in the bedroom?
The question, I'm sorry.
What else happened while they were there in the bedroom?
He used a tool to cut out my lip rings.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, while he was asking me the question, "Do you hate America?" he held me down on my bed and threatened to punch me until I answered to his satisfaction. And then he told me to grab a blanket and grab a pillow and that I was going to be sleeping outside for the night. And he followed me into the garage and told me where to lie down. and he hollered at me and told me that that was where I was going to be sleeping tonight because I betrayed the family and he didn't want me in his family anymore.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. Take your time.
And then that's when my grandfather came out of his room and asked him what was going on. And so his attention was directed towards my grandfather and he left me in the garage.
And for how long were you in the garage while all this altercation ensued?
I was in there for a few minutes until I heard the hollering from out in the garage, and then he told me to come inside, and he made me stand in the kitchen corner while my gramps was sitting in a chair, and he had chased Joe outside of the house, and he was making sure that I had to grab my gramps' phone and make sure I didn't have any phone on me, so no one could call the cops. He was worried about Joe being outside because of that too.
Joe is your uncle, right? I mean your uncle. Yeah, your uncle. Yeah. Okay. You said that he tried to cut your piercing off your lips. Did he do it?
Yes, he used a tool to.
Okay. And was that painful?
I was just scared. I thought it might have hurt, but it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt.
Okay, but did you get any mark, any swollen?
Yeah, there was swelling. There was a bruise on my lip.
All right, and so I guess that you were during those actions you were terrified. You were in fear that he could hurt you more, right?
Objection, leading.
Sustain.
All right. Okay, let me put it this way. Did you feel fear?
Yes.
Okay. So you also relate to Ms. Heiserman other instances of violence, other episodes, okay, of physical harm that the respondent had inflicted on you and on some other siblings of yours, okay? I mean that's my understanding. Is that right? Did you relay those episodes to her?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
So over the last few months or over the last couple of years, have you been subject to other physical abuse episodes?
Yes.
Okay. And have you been subject to threats, yelling?
Yes.
Okay. Would the respondent call you names on a regular basis?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So what about your siblings? Have they also been subject to physical abuse that you have witnessed?
Yes.
You have directly witnessed how the respondent has beaten up or has inflicted harm, physical harm on one of your siblings, right? Or some of it. Okay. So
I'm sorry, I didn't get the answer.
I'm sorry?
I didn't get the answer.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you.
So can you tell us what happened in January 2021, just before you moved to Corsica? You were still living in Hawaii, that's my understanding. So what happened there?
My little sister Lillian, she had lied about a phone setting on her phone, and he threw the phone at her, and he grabbed her by the hair and threw her to the ground. And when he told her to go to her room, he kicked her in the stomach. And so when she went to her bed, he came following in after her, and he dragged her by the hair outside and threw her on the gravel and told her that's where she was going to be sleeping for the night.
And you were present?
Yes, I was there.
And you saw how the respondent grabbed her by her hair and dragged her all the way out onto the gravel?
Yes.
Okay. So Yeah, can you also tell us what happened in November 2020 in Hawaii when your mom came around the house to drop you some rolls and and the respondent got mad. Can you elaborate a little bit what happened that occasion?
My mom had came by. She stopped by for a minute to drop off some butter rolls for us, and I failed to tell Walter that because he relied on me to let him know when my mom would show up. And when he came home and he found out, he snapped at us, and he snapped at me mostly, and he was so mad at me that he didn't talk to me for the whole weekend. And then one of the mornings, I was making my siblings breakfast, and while I was making their breakfast, he started yelling at me, and he backhanded me.
And the reason why he backhanded you, did he say something about what he was hurting you?
Objection leading.
No, I take it back. I mean, I don't want to ask for the reason because she doesn't know the reason. I'm going to ask if he said something about.
That's leading.
I'm just asking.
Yes, answer.
I'm just asking if while he was hurting her, he said why he was hurting her. Did he say, "Hey, I'm hurting you because this," or he didn't say anything, or?
Hold on a second. Mr. Polk, you were saying it was leading?
When he first asked the question, he was leading. He said, "Did he say such and such a thing?" I'm not getting into.
No, I didn't say that. It's on the record. I didn't assume that he said anything. I just said that what was the reason why he hurt you, and then I took it back because there is no point to ask her for a reason that she doesn't know, right? So I took it back, and my real question is, did he say something about why he was hurting you? While he was hurting you, did he say, "Hey, I'm doing this for certain reasons," or whatever? Did he say something in relation to the reasons why he was hurting you?
Okay. You may answer that question.
He told me it was because of what happened 2 days prior with my mom.
Well, so he said that he was punishing you for what happened 2 days prior. Okay. Right. So during the weekend prior to that backhanding action, was there any interaction, any other tense communication with him?
He had not spoke to me unless it was to make my siblings food.
Okay. Well, okay. Right. So let's. Can you also explain what happened in another occasion prior to that I believe that you have relayed to Ms. Heiserman in August 2020, still in Hawaii, obviously. You got hurt by him. Can you elaborate that episode?
He had come home drunk, and he started snapping at me and Lillian, and I wasn't quite sure why. I don't know why he did, but he started snapping at us. He would tell us to go to bed, but then he would come into our rooms and start drunkenly rambling, and he would grab me by my hair and shake me. He backhanded me and my sister.
And you were both in the same bedroom?
Yes, we were sharing a bedroom.
Okay, and he would come in and out several times, or it was just one action?
Several times.
Okay. Did you feel fear?
Yes, I was so scared I peed myself, and my siblings made fun of me later for it.
All right, that's okay. That's okay. All right, so I guess that there have been many more occasions. I've been told also that you have been relaying about another episode occurred in February 2020. All right. Can you also just lastly elaborate a little bit of that episode?
One of my siblings had left a snack on a dresser, and he told us to, whoever put it there, go put it away. But no, we didn't know who put it there. I didn't know who put it there. I hadn't been in that room. And he made all of us line up, and he was like, one of you put it there, and one of you are going to put it away. And we kept talking to each other like, hello, who put it there? You go put it away. And he was getting real impatient. He grabbed his belt and he started threatening us. Whoever put it there, go put it away. He got up in all of our faces and yelled at us in our faces. And when he got to me, he said, oh, you didn't do it. Go, you can go. So I went to go do the dishes, and I could hear him beating all of my siblings with the belt. And I could hear their screaming and their sobbing. And then afterwards, I could see the lashings that they got. It was really puffy, especially Lillian's. She had 2 really big marks on her, and he made her cover them up for school.
Okay, that's fine. Just take your time. All right. So it's fair to say that the physical abuse was recurrent.
Yes.
So you have witnessed the respondent beating up your siblings, and they have witnessed also the respondent beating you up, right? So it's been like, let's put it this way: his violent actions were.
Objection, leading, Your Honor. This is.
All right. I take it back. I'll take it back.
You make arguments here.
Yeah, I'll take it back. Yeah. So have you seen your stepfather, the respondent, drinking at home?
Yes.
Like often, just one time?
He would constantly go back to the store for more beer.
Okay, so you will see him drinking at home at night.
Yes.
And what about those days that he would hang out at home? Will he be drinking as well?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen what kind of drink he does normally do? You mentioned beer, some other spirit.
And whiskey.
Okay. Right. So have you ever been offered alcoholic beverages by him?
Yes.
When did that happen?
Back in Hawaii, he and I would drink together. We would share a beer together, and then in Texas as well, he would offer me and Joe drinks, and Joe once.
Yeah,
Joe asked alcoholic beverage, and he got it for him.
Okay. And what about any kind of drugs, like weed? Did he ever offer you smoking weed?
It was that was our bonding time. We would constantly smoke weed together.
All right. Are you aware of him using other drugs? Have you seen him using other drugs?
No.
Okay. So apart from the physical abuse episode that you have been relaying, have you been subject to other kind of actions like being mocked by him?
Yes.
Being belittled by him?
Yes.
How often would you say that kind of action would have taken place?
anytime we did anything wrong, like if we misplaced something or if we forgot to clean something, he would say, are you lazy or are you stupid? If we did anything wrong, we were either lazy or we were stupid.
Okay. And would he also call you all? I mean, when I'm saying you, it's you all.
Objection. Leading. Was he also called? She's already testified to something. He's trying to add something. Tell her what you say. Did he also call you? That's leading.
I understand. I'll sustain. Gentlemen, I need to recess to take up my tax docket. And we're going to be in recess until 2 p.m.
Yeah, I have some witnesses from Hawaii who were sitting, been waiting, and I used up some of the time because of the other case, but it's tough on my witnesses. There's 4:30 where they are, so they've been sitting there from 4:30 to now.
Well, I understand. But we're going to have to recess. So they can come back at 2.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
We're in recess.
Thank you.
Melissa, do they have the tax? I don't have a tax docket.
I need one too.
One judge, our friend.
I need a copy too, Melissa, thanks.
You need a copy too?
I do.
Okay, let me print both of y'all one. Hold up.
Oh yeah, probably so. We'll get started with the tax docket here shortly. I gotta get the actual docket.
No worries, Judge.
Are there a lot of cases?
Some of them taken off.
Leslie, just let me know whenever you're ready.
I'm ready, thank you.
All right. We'll go on the record for June the 11th, 2021 tax docket. I have counsel for parties present, Wade Gent for the plaintiffs in these cases, and everyone that is, it's 11:16, and at this time, other than the court and the bailiff, there's no other individuals in the courtroom, and the Zoom call, anyone that has signed in or logged in has been allowed in. So I guess with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Gent. You'll just have to unmute yourself.
How's that?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, sorry about that, Judge. D46111-TX, Kearns ISD versus Rucker. Plans for present and ready, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Judge, this is a case involving Elmer Dale Rucker and Addie Lorraine Rucker as defendants. Both of those defendants were served by posting. We have defendant Karen Scott, who was duly served with process and has made default as well. Miss Tracy Klein was served and has made default. Roxanne Klein was duly served and has filed a pro se answer and was notified of today's setting, Your Honor. Judge, I'd offer Plaintiff's Exhibit A, a certified tax statement owed to all the taxing authorities.
Okay, it's admitted.
I've also prepared Exhibit B, an affidavit of cost and fees for the current tax year.
Admitted.
Exhibit C is an affidavit of diligence by my staff regarding the measures that were taken to identify the actual and potential parties to the case.
Okay, that'll be admitted.
Also, Your Honor, Exhibits D and E were e-filed for identification. That's the ad litem notice of today's setting and then the notice of the pro se defendant.
All right, they'll be admitted.
Judge, we would rest and close at this time.
All right, judgment's granted.
Next, D48743-TX, Corsicana ISD versus Santillion. Your Honor, this is a default case. Defendants Francisco Santillion and Sarah Santillion were both served with process, and they did file in the pro se answer, but I have not seen them.
Okay.
Oh, Your Honor, actually, I'm looking, this one, they paid the account, so I will get a non-suit filed, but we'll ask that one be pulled.
Okay, that record can so reflect.
I've got 3 different lists I'm working off of, and the computer is slow as usual.
I understand.
D48993-TX, Kearns ISD versus Coleman.
All right.
Judge, we have multiple defendants. All were served by posting, and they're listed in the judgment. We also have defendants that were identified and notified, and they've recorded a disclaimer of interest, which has been filed with the court. We also have several defendants who were duly cited and have wholly made default. And I'm sorry, Judge, my computer, the little circle's spinning.
I understand.
Judge, Mr. Green was appointed as ad litem on this case. I'll offer my exhibits, and we did file 2 versions of the judgment, one that was not signed by Mr. Green, and then we got his signature and signed and submitted a second one. So if the court's, please the court, just be sure that you see that second one with his signature on this one.
Okay, I'll do that.
Judge, Exhibit A is certified tax statement to all the taxing authorities. We'd offer that as an exhibit.
It's admitted.
We offer Plaintiff's Exhibit B, an affidavit of fees for the current tax year.
That'll be admitted.
And finally, Exhibit C, which is an affidavit of diligence undertaken by my office in this case.
It's admitted.
Your Honor, I've also submitted for identification Exhibits D and E, which are notices to the pro se defendants as well as the ad litem.
Okay, they'll be admitted.
We'd rest and close, Your Honor.
Judgment's granted.
Next one is D49116, Kearns ISD versus Rowe et al.
Okay.
Judge Kenneth Rowe was served with process and has wholly made default. Defendant Francisco Bay Property Owners Association have filed an answer, and they were notified of today's setting.
Okay.
We'd offer Plaintiff's Exhibit A, a certified tax statement.
It's admitted.
Plaintiff's Exhibit B, which is an affidavit of fees,
That's admitted.
and also Plaintiff's Exhibit C, which is notice to the answering attorney in this case.
Okay, that'll be admitted.
We would rest and close, Your Honor.
All right. Judgment's granted.
D 49289, City of Corsicana. I think I skipped one. D
Yes.
49275, Corsicana ISD versus Sullivan.
Okay.
Judge David Sullivan, also known as David Paul Sullivan, and Tiffany Sullivan were both served with process and have wholly made default. So we would ask the court to take judicial notice of those returns.
Court will take judicial notice.
I'd offer Plaintiff's Exhibit A, a certified tax statement for all the taxing authorities,
Admitted.
and offer Plaintiff's Exhibit B, an affidavit of fees and costs.
Admitted.
Plaintiffs would rest, Your Honor.
Judgment will be granted.
D 49289, City of Corsicana versus Mayan.
All right.
It's running. The horses are running. Judge Blindy Janeth Mayan was served with process and has wholly made default. We'd ask the court for judicial notice of the returns in this case.
Court will take judicial notice.
I'd also offer Plaintiff's Exhibit A, a certified statement of delinquent taxes.
That exhibit's admitted.
Would rest and close, Your Honor.
Judgment will be granted.
D 49295, City of Corsicana versus Hawkins.
All right.
Your Honor, Joe Hawkins was served with process. He did answer pro se and was notified of today's setting.
Okay.
We'd offer Plaintiff's Exhibit A. I'm sorry, this is a judgment for costs and fees only. So
Okay.
Exhibit A in this case is simply the notice to Mr. Hawkins of today's setting.
Okay. It'll be admitted, or is that an exhibit?
It is, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted.
It would rest and close.
All right, judgment's granted.
The next one is D 49297, City of Corsicana versus Thomas.
All right, you may proceed.
Judge Donald Thomas, also known as Donald O'Shell Thomas, was duly served with process and has wholly made default. We'd ask the court to take judicial notice of those service returns.
Court will take judicial notice.
I'd also offer Plaintiff's Exhibit A, a certified statement of delinquent taxes,
It's admitted.
and Exhibit B, which is an affidavit of fees and costs.
It's admitted.
This time we would rest, close, and pray for judgment, Your Honor.
Judgment's granted.
D 49309, Mildred ISD versus Burns.
All right, you may proceed.
The defendants Jimmy Burns and Rhonda Burns were duly served with process and have wholly made default. We'd ask the court to take judicial notice of those returns, Your Honor.
Court will take judicial notice.
We'd also offer Plaintiff's Exhibit A, a certified tax statement,
It's admitted.
and Plaintiff's Exhibit B, which is an affidavit of fees for the current tax year.
It's admitted.
Rest and close and pray for judgment, Your Honor.
Judgment's granted.
D 49326-TX, City of Corsicana versus Osa Castrillion et al. Judge, this case, the delinquent accounts have been paid in full, so we'd ask that one be pulled off the court's docket.
Okay, that's noted.
The next one is D 49328-TX, City of Corsicana versus Crawford et al.
Okay, you may proceed.
Judge Stephen Crawford, also known as Stephen Art Crawford, and Gloria Crawford were both served with process and have wholly made default. We would ask the court to take judicial notice of those returns.
Additional notice.
I'd offer Plaintiff's Exhibit A, a certified tax statement,
It's admitted.
and Plaintiff's Exhibit B, which is an affidavit of fees for the current tax year.
It's admitted.
We would rest and close, Your Honor.
Judgment's granted.
D 49338-TX, City of Corsicana versus Managed Mortgage Investment Fund 2 LP.
Okay.
Your Honor, that defendant was duly served with process and has wholly made default. We would ask the court to take judicial notice of the returns in that case.
The court will take judicial notice.
I'd also offer Plaintiff's Exhibit A, a certified tax statement,
A is admitted.
and I'd offer Plaintiff's Exhibit B, an affidavit of fees for the current tax year.
That is admitted.
We'd rest, close, and pray for judgment, Your Honor.
Judgment's granted.
The rest, Your Honor, I'll just go through them individually. D 49348-TX, City of Corsicana versus Symington. That account has been paid in full. We would request that it be pulled off the docket for today.
Oh, okay, that's noted.
D 49360-TX, Corsicana ISD versus Gorman. We found an additional party that needs to be added, so we would ask that one be pulled off the docket.
All right, so noted.
D 49382-TX, City of Blooming Grove versus Richards. Judge, that account has also been paid in full, so we would request it be pulled.
All right, so noted.
D 49395-TX, which is the Cleland case, and D 49398-TX, which is the Gonzalez case. Both of those have been paid. We will get the non-suit filed as soon as possible, but we'd ask that it be pulled off the docket.
They're pulled.
And I believe that exhausts our list.
Okay, well, I believe that does conclude all of the hearings. Is there anything further before I recess?
No, Your Honor, I appreciate everything.
All right, that concludes this hearing. Thank y'all very much for being here and being patient.
No problem.
Y'all have a great weekend.
You too, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you.